So hi all, welcome to another video lecture. In this video lecture we will discuss about the file handling in Python. So file handling in Python, it refers to the process of creating, opening, reading, writing and closing the files using built-in functions and methods. So it is an essential part of programming where you want to store data permanently or interact with external files like txt files or CSV or JSON. So we will be discussing the basic file handling operations, how to open, read, write, right? And the basic file modes like the read operation, write operation, okay? And we will discuss about what is the difference between your binary files and textual files, right? Then why should we actually use the error handling? We should use the error handling to store user input, to log the program activity, to load the configuration of data from external files, and to process files like your text files or CSV files, correct? So let us go ahead and let us look at the basic file handling operations. So first and foremost, we will see how we can create a file. Okay, right now in our new folder, right, this is the current directory, we don't have any files with us, right? We have this .mp4 file, which is a binary file, which we will discuss later. Okay, but right now we don't have any text file with us, correct? So let us go ahead and let us create one file, right, in this new folder directory. So we will give the file name, let's store it in a variable, let's say automation.txt. Okay, and the file path, what will be the file path? File path will be os.path.join, and inside this we will give the file name, right, and the current directory. So current directory, for that we will go ahead and we will type os.getcwd, comma, and for file name we will just pass in the file name. Okay, so this is the file path. Okay, now for us to create a file, we need to write something in the file, right? So the way to create a file is we will type with open, and within the open we have to mention the file description or path. Okay, if you read this, it is saying open files and returns a stream. Open, raise the OSE error upon failure. Just ignore this for the moment. File is either a text or byte string that gives the name. Okay, so simply we just need to go ahead and pass the file path over here, okay, that we have created. Okay, so file path, comma, and within this the next is that you need to specify the mode of operation. So since we are supposed to write something into the file, we will just type w symbolizes that we need to write something into this particular file. Okay, it overwrites the file if it exists or if it creates a new one. Okay, and then we will alias this as file. Now we need to write something into the file, so what we will do, we will just simply type file.write. okay, file.write, it will write everything into this particular file. Okay, so now we are going to go ahead and we will give multi-line string. Okay, you can give single line string, but I want to go ahead and I will write multiple lines into this file. Okay, like this. So what this will do, it will go ahead and it will make sure that it writes multiple lines over here with three single quotes, right? You can go ahead and you can specify that. So let us go ahead and let us run this. Once we run this, you will see that this automation.txt file got created. If I go ahead and open this, you will see that this text has been created, right? How is it possible to do it like that? Okay, so this line has been created for us, and now what we want to do, we want to go ahead and we want to read the content from this file. Okay, so how we are going to go ahead and read the content from the automation.txt? So for that, let us go ahead and delete this, and for reading the content from the file, we can go ahead and use the read operation. Okay, and now what we will do, we will just simply say file.read, and we will print it. Okay, once we go ahead and print this, you will see that it will go ahead and it will give us the content of that file using the read operation. Now there are different ways by which we can read the content of the file. Okay, this way is one of the most this is not a very efficient way of reading the file, right? Because let's say that if the file size is pretty big, right, this is just a small file, but if let's say the file size is pretty big, right, this can throw an error, or this can lead to timeout issues. Okay, so in those cases what we need to do, we will specify things in chunk, right? We will read text in chunks, and then we are going to go ahead and concatenate it together. If we read things in chunk, right, then the file is not going to be read at a time, right? At one go it will not be read, so it will lead to memory issue. It will be read in chunks. Okay, so what I mean by it will be read in chunks, so let us go ahead and let us specify the size as 100 represents that 100 represents the size of the character. So if I go ahead and if I say that file dot read, within this read, right, you can just see that it is accepting size, read at most size character from the stream. So what does it mean is, if I go ahead and if I let's say specify 10 over here, okay, if I go ahead and if I specify 10 and if I print this, right, it will read only 10 characters, the first 10 characters. Okay, it will read the first 10 characters from here. Okay, if I give over here let's say 50, it will read the first 50 characters from here. Okay, so now using this, what we will do, right, we are going to go ahead and we will be reading files in chunks. So I will be specifying a variable known as size. I will be giving this as 10. Okay, and then over here I will be saying file underscore content is equals to file dot read, and within this I will be mentioning the size. So what file underscore content will get, it will get the first 10 characters from this particular file. Okay, and then I will say that while length of my file content is greater than 0, okay, I will go ahead and I will print the content of the file, and I will give end equals to this. Okay, I will print the content of the file, and then what I will do, if I go ahead and run this, right, it will go into an infinite while loop, because length of the file content will always be greater than 0, right? But I want to go ahead and I want to update the file content, that wherever it has left, it can take it off from there. Next time it will take it off from there. So what I will do, I will go ahead and I will again mention this file content equals to file dot read of size, because first time it has read the first 10 characters, it has stored it in the file content. It will go inside this loop, it will say that okay, it is the 10 greater than 0, fine, it will print the first 10 content, right, first 10 characters, and then again it will update the file content as file dot read of size. So when I again do file dot read of size, right, it will take off from that particular place where it has left. Okay, so it will now read from 11th character to the 20th character. It will go ahead and start and finish it off there, and then it will go in that particular loop till the length of the file content becomes 0. Once it becomes 0, it will go out of that particular loop. Okay, so using this, what I will do, I will go ahead and if I run this, it will give me the same result. You see, how is it possible to do it? It has given the entire text in that particular text file, correct? So this is the most efficient way of how you can read from a particular file. Okay, there is one more way. Okay, there is one more way how you can read. So let me comment this one out. Okay, there is one more way. The way is that if I just go ahead and if I say that file underscore content is equals to file dot read line. Okay, what read line will do, it will read one at a time. Okay, it will read the line one at a time. Okay, so if I go ahead and if I just say file dot read line, okay, and if I print the file underscore content here, okay, and if I run this, it will just read the first line. If I copy this, paste it over here, okay, it will read the first 2 lines. Okay, let me mention end equals to this so that I can avoid the extra spaces that is coming in between. See, it is going to read the first 2 lines, and if I go ahead and if I copy ahead and if I paste it here, right, it will mention the all the three lines. But you see, this is such an inefficient way of doing it, right? So one way obviously is that we will go ahead and place this in loop, right? So what I will say, for line in this particular file, and then I will print the line. Okay, and over here I will mention end equals to this. If I go ahead and if I do this, this is also going to give me the result. Okay, so this is something that you can do it. You can go one line at a time, right? And this will obviously, it will also not lead to memory issue because you are processing one line at a time. Okay, you're not reading the file in one go. But obviously if there are multiple lines, right, this will lead to huge time complexity, correct? In such cases, what you can do is you can mention the batches. Okay, you can mention the size over here. So if the file is pretty huge, or if the file is pretty large, right, you can mention that let me print the first 500 characters, or let me mention the first 50 characters. So in that particular case, right, this method over here, okay, this becomes much more efficient compared to going one line at a time. Okay, so let me also go ahead and give you the proof for this one. So I will import time. Okay, and I will go ahead and I will say that, let's say start time is equals to time dot time. Okay, time dot time, and here after it executes, I will say end time is equals to also time dot time. Okay, so it will give me the current start time and end time. And then after it finishes execution, what I will say, I will go ahead and I will print the end time minus start time, and I will multiply this with 10 power 3. Okay, and then I will say this is this many milliseconds. Okay, if I go ahead and if I execute this one, right, if I go ahead and if I execute this one, it is taking me around 1 millisecond. Okay, this is taking me around 1 millisecond, correct? Yeah. Now what I will do, I will go ahead and I will say that for line in file, correct, I will go ahead and I will print the line comma end. Okay, if I go ahead and if I do this now, okay, see it is also taking almost the same time as the previous one, right? Because there are only how many? There are only 3 lines over here, correct? But let's say that if in the automation.txt, right, if I add multiple lines over here, right, like let's say I am adding multiple lines, correct? I'm adding multiple lines over here. Okay, now I go to the OS module, and now if I run this, it is taking 1.998 seconds, right? Now if I go ahead and if I remove this one and remove this one, and if I run this one, see, it is taking me 1.0034 seconds, almost the same time as the previous one. See, so this is the difference. This might not look very this might not look much, but trust me, if the file is pretty big, right, going one at a time, it will take a huge toll on this entire code, right? So that's why it is preferred to use this way, right, to go ahead and batch them in size. Okay, so this was about the how you can read it from the file, right? Now let's say if I want to go ahead and if I want to copy something from the file, I want to copy this file and I want to create a copy and I want to store it here only in the current directory or at some other location, right? How can I go ahead and how can I execute that one, right? So let us go ahead and let us do that. So for that, let me remove this. Okay, and here what I will say, file underscore name underscore copy. Okay, and I will mention this as automation underscore copy dot txt. Okay, and here now see, now what I will do. Okay, now what I will do, okay, let me keep this as file underscore name. Let me create one more variable, underscore copy is equals to automation underscore copy dot txt. Okay, now if I want to go ahead and if I want to store it in the same path as the automation.txt, right, what I will do, I will go ahead and I will use one more function, not function but a method. Basically I will say os.path.dir name. So what os.path.dir name will do, it will go ahead and it will give me the directory, okay, the directory of the file path. Okay, so I will create one more file underscore path underscore copy. Okay, and I will say os.path, okay, dot dir name. So it will give me the directory name of the particular file that I'm going to go ahead and copy, right? So if I'm going to go ahead and copy the automation.txt, right, I want to go ahead and fetch the exact directory in which this file is stored, right? So if I go ahead and if I mention os.path.dir name and if I give the file path over here, okay, this is the file path, right? And if I go ahead and if I print this file underscore path underscore copy, it will give me the directory name. Okay, it will give me the directory name over here, right? So this is very efficient because if let's say if the file is present internally, so I need not mention I need not go ahead and specify the hierarchy all the time. Like I need not mention temp1, temp2 or n number of hierarchies all the time. If I go ahead and if I use this function, right, it will give me the directory name in which the file has been stored. Okay, and on the other hand, if you want to get the file name itself, right, you can use the base name. If I go ahead and use the base name, it will give me the file name over here. You see automation.txt. Okay, and if you go ahead and if you use split over here, okay, what it will do, it will go ahead and it will split it on the basis of the directory and the base name. Okay, so this is the function of all the three, that is dir name, base name and split. Okay, so here I want to mention the dir name and I want to go ahead and I want to join it on the basis of this directory name and the new file name over here. So this is the file name copy, file name copy. So this is not going to be in quotes. Okay, so I have specified the file name over here for file path. Okay, and now what I'm going to do, I want to copy the content of this automation.txt and into this new file, that is automation underscore copy.txt. So what I will say with open file underscore name, I want to read the things from the file path, that is automation.txt. I'll use the read as file, and inside this with I will use another with, nested with open file underscore path underscore copy, and this time I will say write operation, and I will mention file underscore copy over here. Okay, so the contents of this file path I will go ahead and I will write it over here. So what I will do, I will mention the size. Let's say the size is 10. Okay, and I will say that file underscore content is equals to file dot read, and then I will mention the size while the length of file content is greater than 0. Right, now what I want to do, I want to go ahead and I want to write it, right? So file underscore copy dot write, and within this I will go ahead and mention the file content. Okay, and so that this does not end up in infinite loop and it gets continued. Okay, so I will again go ahead and mention file underscore content equal to file dot read of size. If I go ahead and if I run this one, right, it will go ahead and it will create a copy. See, it has created a copy, right? If you go ahead and see the automation.txt, it is this. Automation underscore copy.txt will also be. Okay, wait. This was not saved. Save this one. Okay. Now again, I will go ahead and run this. Let's go ahead and run this again. See, it has again run. Okay, so don't forget to go ahead and save this automation.txt. Okay, so you see that this got copied, right? So this is the way how you can go ahead and you can copy, files from one location to another location. Okay, there is one more way how you can go ahead and how you can copy files. So you can just mention import shootil. Okay, import shootil, and here what you can just say, let me comment this out. Okay, and I will say shootil dot copy, and here I need to mention the source path. So source path will be file dot path comma destination path will be file dot path underscore copy. Okay, and now with this what we will do, okay, let me go ahead and mention another name. Let us say shootil underscore copy. Okay, if I go ahead and now if I hit on run, you see it will do the exact same thing as whatever chunk of code that I have written, right? This manual chunk of code. Shootil.copy does it exactly the same as this. Okay, so and shootil.copy is much faster, okay, compared to, you can go ahead and you can try it out in the same way. You can just give the start time, end time, and you can just figure it out. It will always be faster. Shootil.copy is always faster compared to this one. Okay, how you are copying it over here. But the only advantage that this chunk of code has over shootil is that you have much greater flexibility with this code, right? You have much greater control with this code. You can go ahead and you can fix the nuances of this code, right? You can go ahead and enter inside this code. You can change many things, right? You have much greater control in this. But if your function is only to copy a particular file from one location to another location, from one drive to another drive, you can definitely go ahead and use the shootil. Okay, it's much faster. You can go ahead and you can try it on by yourself. Okay, now if I want to go ahead, let's remove the shootil from here. Okay, if you want to go ahead, and this was just only for text files, okay, but if you want to go ahead and if you want to copy binary files, right? Like for example, I have this binary file with me. Okay, welcome to inside Vanta, right? This one. So let me go ahead, let me copy this path, right? And let me get the name from here. Okay. And what I will do over here, right? I will go ahead and I will mention the file name as this, and I will mention the copy file name as copy.mp4, let's say. Okay, and instead of now RB, now that we are handling video files over here, video file is a type of a binary file, right? So if we are handling images or video files, right, so in those cases we actually need to go ahead and mention these are binary files, so we need to go ahead and mention RB in that case. Okay, in case wherever there is R for text, you just need to add a B after that, so it becomes binary. So read binary, it means RB. W, then we need to mention WB. WB means write binary. Okay, and instead of the size as 10, right, I will mention the size as, let's say, 4096. Okay, because it's a file, it's a binary file, so let us go ahead and mention the size as 4096 over here. And if I now go ahead and if I run this, you will see it will create a copy file of this particular video. See, it has created this. Okay, so this is the way how you can go ahead and you can work with the files. Okay, so I have covered pretty much everything. Okay, everything that is related with the files. Okay, so in case if you really enjoyed this session, if you found it useful, then please don't forget to like, share and subscribe my channel, and please don't forget to press the bell icon for notification. Thank you.